Downey Jr., after a 5-year break, is returning to Marvel, but before he did that, he actually turned down Ryan Reynolds.
Actors are finally speaking up about what it was really like working with Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, from Robert Downey Jr. shutting Ryan down to Deadpool's own creator Rob Liefeld walking away from Marvel in frustration, and fellow A-list celebrities calling Ryan out. But that's not all. Marina Barkin is finally opening up exactly on what went down on the set of Deadpool that had her thrown out. And y'all, if you thought TJ Miller's accusations were bad, this new info is about to blow your mind. You're also about to find out the lengths Ryan went to end Balan's career in the most ruthless way. At this point, Hollywood's golden couple is looking less like a power duo and more like a PR illusion. But the big question remains, how did they get away with this for so long? Stick around to find out. Y'all, there is a lot to unpack here, so grab your popcorn and let's get right into it.
Because many of us agree that Ryan Reynolds was the leader in this. I believe that. I believe Ryan Reynolds was the leader and is the leader in everything that she does. So should we be compassionate? And the answer is no. My friends, we obviously should not be compassionate. That's not how this works, okay? When you get caught doing something that is purely evil, the task is not on the people who caught you doing that thing to extend forgiveness to you when you have not asked for forgiveness.
As I have mentioned, Robert Downey Jr. wanted no part of Ryan Reynolds' plans. And the reason might shock you, as we have now come to learn. After Ryan took over all the creative decisions in Deadpool and Wolverine, he tried to get as many big-name cameos as possible. And who better than Robert Downey Jr.? I mean, could there be a bigger flex than bringing Iron Man into your movie? But when Ryan reached out, RDJ shut it down instantly. According to this Variety article, Deadpool and Wolverine co-writers Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick revealed in an interview with IndieWire that Robert Downey Jr. was hoarded to rep Tony Stark Iron Man for a cameo appearance in Marvel's latest record-breaking blockbuster. Downey turned the offer down. Now, on paper, it might look like a simple nut, but according to multiple sources, there was way more to it. Some say RDJ could already tell something was off with Ryan's approach, like he saw through the act and how he was treating others in the industry. So he didn't even entertain the thought for a second. And now many believe that he was dodging a bad situation, especially after seeing the chaos happening on the Deadpool set so bad that Tim Miller, the original director, straight up walked away. As you can recall from our previous story on this topic, Tim later revealed that he left because of creative differences with Ryan Reynolds. See, the thing is, Hollywood streets talk. Brian's toxic behavior might have just been making headlines now, but these stars have always known how he moves. RDJ clearly wasn't here for it. I mean, just look at how Ryan inserted himself into Justin Baldwin's project. Either way, Downey Jr.'s answer was a hard no. And here's where it gets even wilder. It turns out that the role Ryan had planned for RDJ wasn't just some last-minute idea. Writers had actually designed a whole scene around him, and Jon Favreau meant to tie into the Avengers timeline. They even had RJ's character perfectly slotted in before Infinity War. But despite all that effort, RDJ walked away without a second thought. We told IndieWire we had wanted him to do a cameo. We had written that scene with Happy and Downey. And just like that, in that very interview, Deadpool and Wolverine co-writers Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick may have exposed Ryan without even realizing it. Reese straight up admitted that Ryan Reynolds wrote the scene with both of them in the hopes we could get Downey trust Ryan to always make himself in the moment. Of course, the Deadpool screenwriters know their job, but let's be real, Ryan has never been content staying in his lane. He definitely wrote that scene with Iron Man, knowing full well it would be the biggest highlight of the movie. Lucky for Ryan, this whole situation got swept under the rug when Deadpool team later brushed it off, claiming that Downey turned the offer down. Now makes sense to the writers, as he's returning to Marvel in a larger and shockingly different capacity as Dr. Doom. No one on the Deadpool and Wolverine team knew about Downey's curveball of a return. But here's the thing, people are probably starting to see through the act. This person wrote, RDJ is probably not Team Justin, he's Team Keep Me Out of This. This person said RD Jr. has a sixth sense regarding these types of complaints. He backed Depp rightfully during his trial. Very similar Someone else wrote Ryan Reynolds has cornered the market on 14-year-old humor. That's pretty much all he has to offer. And then this person just wanted Ryan to some respect and Arj's name. No one messes with our RDJ. He is a true comeback story and an American treasure. Sure, they managed to sweep the RDJ situation to the side. But what Ryan can't explain away is why Deadpool's very own creator Rob Liefeld straight up walked away from Marvel, calling out mistreatment. If Ryan was such a joy to work with, why is the man who literally birthed Deadpool done with it all? Let's talk about this as well. Okay, to be fair, Rob's decision to leave Marvel wasn't purely on Ryan Reynolds. But wait until you hear how this all went down, and it is not hard to see his influence in it. This Variety article titled Deadpool creator Rob Liefeld vows to cut ties with Marvel after Deadpool and Wolverine premiere issues reported on the drama on February 6, 2025. It reads Deadpool co-creator Rob Liefeld has declared he has cut ties in all ways with Marvel after he and his family weren't invited to Disney's after party for last Julie's Deadpool and Wolverine premiere. Sound familiar? I wonder where Blake got the idea to lock Baloney and his family in the basement. But let's keep reading. Liefeld has other gripes with Marvel involving the placement of creator credits in the film and what he perceives as a lack of respect from the film and television studio chief. Kevin Feige Liefeld attended this screening at Manhattan's Lincoln Center and says he posed on the red carpet with the Deadpool and Wolverine creative team, but alleges the photos were deleted before they were posted anywhere again. Remember Marina Barron from the first Deadpool, who was conveniently ghosted in the sequel for allegedly disagreeing with Ryan? Remember, she was also spotted alone at the red carpet while the rest of the team was posing around Ryan. Mara does not have a single photo with the Deadpool cast and crew on premiere, and now we've come to learn that besides Marina, Deadpool's creator, like the whole thing wouldn't have even been here without him. That's the person they chose to slice out at the premiere, and neither his family is invited again. Remember Marina from the first Deadpool, the one who at first had a very pivotal role in the film, but was weirdly missing in the sequel for allegedly disagreeing with Ryan. And now, as if that wasn't shady enough, we've come to learn that besides Marina, Deadpool's own creator, the guy responsible for the entire franchise, was also iced out. No after-party invite for him, not even for his family, and red carpet photos of him all deleted. Like how do you erase the very person who made this whole thing possible?
If he wants to go after you, he infests himself into every area of your life. And he did this Justin Baldoni. He's like, who are your friends? Okay. Who owns the production company? Who owns the next movie script? I am going to infest myself everywhere. I'm going to be doing your movie premiere. I'm going to be doing promos and making fun of you, right? I'm going to put myself in the end credits. Like, this is like psychotic behavior. Okay.
Rob Liefeld would later say, it was meant to embarrass, diminish, defeat me. He said of his experience at the New York City premiere on the latest episode of his Robservations podcast. He added that his reps tried to get the Liefeld family into the party, but they were ultimately turned away by the studio's publicity team. Disney is the deciding factor here to have them say you and your family are not welcome here. We tolerate you for the screening. At that point, I knew in my heart I couldn't go forward. Now look, we all know Marvel has had its fair share of skeletons, but people cannot leave Ryan off the hook for this one. At the end of the day, this all went down on Deadpool, the very franchise where he is the face. So the fact that Rob hit his breaking point, not just at any Marvel project, but this one, Ryan taking over everything, already had that set feeling toxic. And what are the odds that Marvel would let him run wild unless they were birds of a feather? And let's not ignore the fact that there is zero mention of Ryan stepping in to smooth things out or making any executive decisions to create a positive work environment. Instead, the same cancellation tactics that were used on anyone who disagreed with him on Deadpool are the same ones his wife pulled on Justin Baldoni. And on top of that, remember how Ryan inserted himself all over It Ends With Us. Turns out he was actually there to get Baldoni fired. This article reads, Lively Reynolds and other members of the film's cast attend premiere for Deadpool and Wolverine. At the after-party, Wayfarer was informed that Reynolds approached a senior executive at WME and expressed his disdain for Baldoni, going as far as to suggest that the agency is working with AOR, and true to his words, WMD dropped Baldoni immediately after Blake filed against him. That is how powerful Reynolds is at this point. People don't need more proof. Ryan's funny guy persona is ranking up there as one of Hollywood's most almost believable lies ever told. And
so we've now moved within this lawsuit, which just shows you how frustrating this must be for the ex-CIA team to be like, find me anything on.
I want to believe more and more celebs are finally speaking up after realizing that there's no point in staying quiet when the public has already pieced together half the story. Take Martha Stewart, for example. She recently came out and said that Ryan Reynolds is not the funny guy. Everyone thinks he is, and sure, most people might think that she was just throwing shade at his sense of humor. But a good part of the internet caught exactly what she was hinting at, because Martha Stewart has been in Hollywood long enough to know how to talk with. Without talking, many believe that what she was really wanting to say was that Ryan is not just not funny, but that he is a full-blown control freak with some serious issues.
Surprised that Ryan Reynolds isn't funny. This is like a shocker to me. I see him walking up and down our neighborhood all the time.
He can act funny. But he isn't funny. Maybe he can get to be funny again.
I'm so disappointed, actually.
I'm gonna get in trouble.
And okay, maybe that sounds like a reach. But before you draw any conclusions, let's talk about what Ryan's co-stars have to say. Because if you think Martha's words were bad, just wait until you hear this in my last video on celebs exposing the Reynolds I had talked about Ryan literally killing Marina Baron's role in Deadpool. Remember in 2016? She appeared in the film Deadpool as Vanessa Carlyle and maintained her role in the 2018 sequel Deadpool 2. Marina has finally come clean on what Ryan did to her and why she left. According to IMDb, Marina was supposed to star in Deadpool 3 still in the same role as before, but the project stalled because they could not agree on the terms. Now guys, IMDb Internet Movie Database is a credible online database that provides information about movies, TV shows, actors, directors, producers, and other entertainment industry professionals. So if they mention this, then it would be interesting to know what those terms and conditions were. But Marina did not stop there. In a new interview with the playlist The Discourse podcast, she said, and I quote, "Yeah, I was hardly on set. That was the big difference. No, I'm not kidding. It was a huge film in general. You know, Marvel is a big studio, and they do things a certain way, so it did feel very different from the others. I mean, you have to remember the first film was essentially an independent big-budget film, relatively speaking, but not as the scale of what it is now. And we were making this film that was a little odd, like it was our sense of humor. But are other people going to think it's funny? So it felt very, very different and very indie at the time. Actually, when the hit never seemed to be dying down, Marina took to her Instagram and wrote, "I can understand that people felt that way. And I certainly was disappointed that I didn't have more to do because I just loved that part so much. But in watching the film and reading the script, it felt like such an emotionally pivotal role in the film, in the entire arc of his character, and the film is set into motion because of what happens to my character, that it felt it was very involved in the movie, even though I didn't have a lot of scenes."
She wasn't in any of them with the cast. She was all alone by herself. I'm just hoping she wasn't sent to the basement.
The plot thickens. Besides Marina, TJ Miller also had a rough run-in with Ryan, which we've touched on before. But there's something Ryan allegedly told TJ that is so wild you wouldn't believe it came out of someone's mouth. TJ Miller said as a character he was horrifically mean to me, as if I'm Weasel. So he was like, "You know what's great about you, Weasel? You're not the star, but you do just enough exposition so that it's funny, and then we can leave and get back to the real movie like be so full real right now." How do you say that to someone you work with? And the way that he completely dismissed TJ's role is just his ego at work. It is actually crazy how threatened Ryan was over a character that had way less screen time than him. Like, he is Deadpool. Why was he pressed over Weasel? Getting a few good lines like, "If that doesn't scream insecurity, I don't know what is." Miller also added, "I would not have done Deadpool 3 if they came to me and were like, 'We want you to do Deadpool 3. and we're going to pay you twice as much. Yeah, that says a lot. Finally, we have none other than Candace Owens, who has been so invested in the scandal. You would think that she's Baldwin's attorney. Candace recently revealed that she linked up with a reliable source who spilled some serious tea. And it turns out that it wasn't Blake who came after Justin, it was Ryan himself. She wrote yesterday, "I received a tip from someone who allegedly worked on the set of It Ends With Us. Lately, everyone is bashing Blake Lively. But at par, the true villain in this saga is Ryan Reynolds." Owen said that her source was alleging that everything started after Ryan 48 decided to stroll onto the movie set one day and review the dailies. The political commentator then claimed her source said that the Deadpool star took a look at the script and said something set him off. Candace concluded by saying, "Here's what I think likely happened. My opinion, Ryan Reynolds is grossly insecure. This in part motivated by the fact that he dates and married a woman who are almost a decade younger than him. By now, Ryan's insecurity is basically a reoccurring theme. It's something we've heard time and time again since this whole scandal started, whether it's trying to control the spotlight, cutting people off, or throwing shade at his own co-stars, or even imposing himself into his wife's projects. The pattern is way too obvious to ignore at this point. Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively's flawless image is on life support, and the truth about how they treat people is finally catching up to them, from co-stars feeling sidelined to behind-the-scenes drama that just keeps piling up. More and more people are stepping forward with their stories, and honestly, the receipts are too loud to ignore. But what do y'all think? Do you think that Blake and Ryan will ever come back from this? And could there be more to the story? Let's talk in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next one.